Hello and welcome to all our viewers of ISC Entertainment Network for another very exciting segment on the upcoming International Women's Day. We are thrilled and delighted to have a very special guest with us today who is going to share her experiences and perhaps some tips and tricks if you want to make it big in her field. We are honored to have the Honorable Minister Rajan Sawhney with us today. Thank you so much, Minister Sawhney, for joining us. She represents the Calgary Northeast in the 30th Alberta Legislature. Minister Sawhney, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted and excited to be here with you today and delighted to meet you virtually as well, Ananya. So, you know, International Women's Day is something that I believe in wholeheartedly and celebrating as much as we can. So the opportunity to speak with you is just, it makes me very happy.
Absolutely. It is so exciting to have, personalities like yourself. You are a public figure and a source of inspiration to other young women. So let's get right to it. So tell us, what is your favorite thing about being a woman?
Well, you know, I'm going to have to say it's being a mom. I'm a mother of four. And, you know, just everything from beginning to end, you know, just having the ability to create life, to give birth,
Wow.
to have children and to mold them. And so as I mentioned, I have four children. My oldest is 25. And I have
Oh, wow.
yes. And
You don't look like
11-year-old.
it, Minister Sawhney. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. But that journey as a mother has taught me more than anything else in life. And in addition to being a mother, it's all the other roles that I play. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and all of those experiences bring an ability to speak to different demographics, right? I'm very good with seniors, I think so.
Yeah.
And and you know, as women, we know this is a reality. Sometimes we do have difficult journeys, and sometimes there are more obstacles and circuitous routes in our way. And I'm grateful for that because it has developed a degree of resilience within me that has come in very handy right now as we're dealing with COVID-19.
That's incredible and very profound. And, it kind of goes into my next question to you. You mentioned the obstacles and, as being born women, and some are born in more privileged families than others, but it almost feels like all of us, just because we're born as women, we have to kind of work twice as hard or thrice as hard. And you're a mother of four. So in addition to managing your professional responsibilities, you have this primary and such an integral and critical role of nurturing life and, making your children grow up to be the best human beings. So tell us a little bit more about, some of these challenges that you faced in not only in your professional career, but perhaps a little bit on the personal side and how you managed to balance both.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? The professional and personal collide all the time. And these days, there's almost no distinction. But from a personal perspective, I mean, over the years, I think the biggest challenge and pressure point, and lots of women will agree with me on this, is wanting to do it all. And I know that we always say women can do it all, and they can, but it always comes at a cost too, right? And sometimes that cost is just your own well-being. And that's why I always tell women, like, put yourself first, make some time out for yourself. But for someone like me, and again, going back to the personal, four children, my in-laws live with us and they're absolutely wonderful, but they're elderly. I have my own parents, so I'm literally in that sandwich generation. And I've had a full-time career, and I always tried to volunteer when I could. So, I mean, there's a lot of competing priorities there, but I managed to have a good balance. And professionally, I have a very complex ministry and I have a very complex constituency. And what has really saved the day for me are my personal experiences. Every time I have a problem, every time I'm speaking to somebody, actually, I always bring in my experience as a mom, as a working woman, as a daughter, as a daughter of newcomers. And so just weaving my narrative into problem solving has been helpful in terms of meeting the challenges and dealing with the pressure, but there nonetheless.
That's incredible, isn't it? And a lot of women, I think, would relate to that, having kids and still managing a professional career. It just seems like the biggest blessing when you do have the elderly to kind of guide you, but also to take a little bit pressure off, to say that, you know what, you're doing fine, you're doing a good job. And like you said, I think it's such an important message that you're giving to our viewers, that some personal experiences will give you the tools to kind of handle some of the professional problems, right? So as a Minister of Community and Social Services, you know, obviously you probably collide with that situation more than people would think. So how do you kind of go about managing that, like, you know, as a woman, as a minister, as a woman in a position of power? How do you kind of convince your constituents that, you know, you are the leader that they've chosen and you are going to help them in the best possible way?
You know what, Ananya, quite frankly, it's just listening. People want to be heard. They want to have the opportunity to air their grievances, to talk about their families, to talk about the issues that they're having. And I think once you develop that relationship, that you're willing to listen and also to act, and also to distill the message that you're hearing, because often people might say something, but what they mean is something else. So if you can get that, and I've had a lot of practice doing that, by the way, just the years of my work experience and through volunteerism. So the ability to listen and that ability just to be silent for a moment and reflect, and then again, as I said, to act on your words, is something that is very compelling. And once or twice, people begin to develop trust. And I think that is the biggest challenge I have actually within my ministry and within government, is always making sure that you're doing everything you can to build trust amongst your constituents, especially right now with COVID-19 in the pandemic. There's so much vulnerability out there, and anybody can be vulnerable, as we know. And I think just for people to understand that there is somebody who's willing to do the right thing and that you can trust that individual is huge.
Absolutely. It's, you know, just like you said, when unusual circumstances kind of take over bulk of your life and your entire thought process or your entire way you lived your life is kind of thrown out the window, you want leaders who are, number one, ready to listen, like you said, because these people probably just want to scream, right? So you want leaders who can listen, and then, like you said, build that trust with them so that they can follow your lead. So do you think as a woman you have a little bit of an upper hand, because just genetically women are a lot more patient, a lot more emotional, a lot more willing to listen? Do you think that would be a fair statement?
Well, of course. Absolutely. Of course I'm going to say that. I mean, you know, I don't think too much about gender, in fact. And I know that when I'm trying to problem solve or I have a situation at hand, I never think of myself in terms of, okay, I'm a woman or I'm a visible minority, until somebody reminds me. It'll come out somehow, you know, as a woman or as somebody from this ethno-cultural group. So, and then I'll reflect on it. So I just wanted to say that, because I don't think about problem solving and ability and capacity and capability from a gender lens. But, you know, for me personally, I will say that, you know, the experiences that I've had have enriched my work. And, you know, and having said what I said about the gender lens, it is a reality that double standards still exist. And within the realm of navigating through those double standards, women are able to jump through a whole bunch of hurdles that their male counterparts will never have to jump through. So that develops some serious skills in patience and in resilience, and also in empathy and understanding what other people are going through.
Absolutely. And, you know, Minister Sawhney, you said you've got 4 children. I am sure patience is probably at the top of your list. So that's incredible to hear. And exactly like you said, I think in today's world, especially, the talk of the glass ceiling is a lot more profound, you know, talk about, like you said, viewing people through the gender lens, but some facts are facts, right? Like certain situations or certain complications are better handled by women because they're more empathetic, because they're, you know, probably relate to the situation a lot more, and simply because they're used to situations that men will never ever face. It's just the unfortunate reality. So you know, before we kind of move towards, I guess, towards the ending of the segment, like I'd love for you to tell us, what message would you give to young girls today who are looking, aspiring to be political leaders like yourself, or if not in a, in that exact capacity, but just wanting to do something to help and live a larger purpose?
Yeah, and I love this question because I have been asked this question in the past, well before getting into politics. And I had no notion I'd be getting into politics, actually. It was a very accidental journey. But I remember writing an article in 2017 in November, and it was shortly after having some mini crises in the workplace and having some conversations with some young women at the time. And the article was the 5 ways of being to achieve success, and it's on my LinkedIn. And so there were, I mean, there's so much I can say. So, but in that particular article, and it still stands true today. And I read it and then just remind myself of what I need to do to move forward. So one was to, speak up and speak often, but know your subject matter. Your voice is so much more compelling if you know the details and the ins and outs of what you're trying to present or negotiate. Number 2, and a lot of women are going to relate to this, is to disarm the scare tactics. There are people out there who try to intimidate you or scare you or throw these obstacles in your way just to throw you off course. And you have to recognize that for what it is. When there's fear involved, just disarm it and move on. And then the third one was called reclaiming the lemon. So when life gives you lemon, you make lemonades. But why? Why not reclaim the lemon and turn that adversity into something for you? And the fourth one was be the one to give the standing ovation. So be the one who's uplifting other people. And finally, women, we're hard on ourselves. When we mess up, we think about it, we ruminate about it, and we have to stop doing that. You just have to forgive yourself and move on. So there's 5 pieces. That's the advice I give to every woman.
That is incredible, and such simple things, if you think about it. If you read the article, they seem so obvious, yet one of the very important points that you said towards the end is we're really hard on ourselves. So, to uplift yourself, give our audience some tips before we end the session about how, if you get into that deep, dark corner where you're feeling guilty or you're feeling like an underachiever, how did you manage to get out back in the light?
It's my family. My husband is amazing, and he's a truth teller. And whenever I do, have those moments, I'll just sit down and reflect with him. And he has a great way of just distilling everything and saying, well, you know what, this is not what you think it is. Perhaps it's this. So I guess it's that reclaiming the lemon piece. But it's family, it's my faith. I'm a very devout Sikh. I really rely on Gurbani and scriptures. They help me get through the day, through many dark moments. And it's also the work that I do. I have a very, very important job. There are a lot of Albertans who are relying on my decisions. So the gravity of that job and that responsibility of it makes me aware that I have to be on top of my game at all times.
Right. That is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing those insights with us, Minister Sawhney. I'm sure all of our female viewers are encouraged, and I guess a little bit at ease that, you can be a person of power and you still go through the same struggles that a regular woman will go through, because we all have families, we all have lives outside of our workplace. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Once again, thank you so much for coming here on ISC Entertainment Network to join us in our segment for International Women's Day. Viewers, please be sure to check out this video, like and subscribe to our channel. Please also visit Minister Sawhney's Facebook page and LinkedIn page. I'm sure you'll find a ton of motivational resources, and we'll be able to put that in. Mr. Sawhney, you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.